Shame is a hell of a thing, isn't it? I think we've all experienced shame in one way, shape, or form, whether it's something serious like we've screwed up at work or at home and we need to make an apology for it because we own it. We made a mistake, right? Or if it's something silly, like it's shame for some imagined transgression that you caused back in high school that you can't get out of your head 35 years later. We've all experienced shame. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome to Square Pegs. And this is, of course, a video game channel. So we're talking about shame with video games. And the shame I want to talk about specifically are games that I'm ashamed I haven't completed yet. Stuff that I've started and I either just didn't enjoy, just didn't click for me, or things that I just didn't have the patience to complete. And we're going to start with the oldest, and we're going to work our way to the newest. And I promise this isn't me picking on Sony, but it's going to feel that way as we get through this video. All right, kicking things off on the NES, and one of the ones that I've never beaten, and it's a game I adore, like legitimately love. It's something that I have treasured since I was a kid. I love the original artist behind the concept of Winsor McKay, and it is Little Nemo, the Dream Master. And yes, I have intense shame that I've never beaten this game. And it's typically because it's a game that I don't think to grab when I want to play on my NES. It's something where I love it, and it's something that if I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, I should play that. But typically I'm going to something like a Super Mario Bros. 3 or a Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, or any of the Mega Man games that I own. For some reason, Little Nemo just doesn't cross my mind. It's not that it's too hard. It's not that I don't love it, because it's not that hard, and I do love it. It's just legitimately something I don't think of. So I want to beat it this year. There's actually another game that's not on this list that I'm not really ashamed I haven't beaten because it's really difficult, but I want to also beat Ninja Gaiden by the end of the year, and I just haven't done it, so that's kind of a bonus for this one. But yeah, Little Nemo is something I'm actually going to sit down and actually finish this year. I got further than I ever have earlier this year. I was so excited, and then I turned it off, and I didn't play it again. Yeah, I feel stupid about that. Another one that I absolutely love, and this isn't shamed because I forget about it, because it is a game that I think about frequently on the NES, and one of my absolute favorite titles. I haven't beaten this game just because it's way too hard, and it's Batman. I've never even gotten to the Joker, and I've looked at Joker fights online of people playing it, and I just look at it and I go, no, there's no way. I can't do that. I can't beat this game. And it's something where I do have shame for it because I love the game so much, but I don't know. It's one of those things where when I get to the point where I start feeling frustrated with Batman, I need to back off, because I don't want to ruin a game I love by not playing it the way that I should be playing it, or by playing it to the point of frustration where I just want to throw it through a window and never play it again. It's something I like to go back to, and every time I do play it, once I get my muscle memory back, after, a few hundred consecutive deaths, but once I get my muscle memory back of playing the game, I get a little bit further every time I play it. So eventually I will beat it. It's not life or death for me, but it is something where, because I love the game so much, I really wish I had beaten it, and it's just hasn't happened yet. Next, jumping forward to the Nintendo 64. I looked at my Genesis and I looked at my Super Nintendo games, and there wasn't much on there that I really haven't beaten or haven't spent a ton of time with that I'm okay that I haven't beaten them. But one that is on the N64 that I know I need to beat one day, that I need to get to and just get through on original hardware, and I haven't beaten it on the 3DS either, but it's Ocarina of Time. This game did not click for me on the N64, like many N64 games. It just was not something that connected for me. And it's something where I look at the foundations that were laid by this game, and I realize how important it is, and I desperately want to play it, but every time I do, it just does not click, and I don't know why, because it's a Zelda adventure. There's never been a Zelda game I don't like outside of Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, primarily Spirit Tracks. I don't actually know that I played Phantom Hourglass now I'm thinking about it. There's not really a Zelda game I haven't enjoyed. Like, even Skyward Sword, is kind of janky and weird as it is, has its redeeming qualities, but for some reason, Ocarina of Time, I just can't get into it. I've had more fun playing it on the 3DS. The 3DS remaster and remake is significantly better than the original N64 version as far as I'm concerned, but it's never something where I look at it and I go, ooh, yay, I can play Ocarina of Time. I always default to Majora's Mask just because I think that's significantly more clever than Ocarina of Time is. And it's not to say it's a bad game, it's just, to me, it's not compelling, and I don't know why. All right, on to the Sega Dreamcast now, and I think I can be forgiven for not having beaten this one yet because I didn't actually own it until last year. I'd played it a few times, and it's something that I actually prefer to its counterpart on the N64 with Mario 64, but I've never beaten Sonic Adventure. I've just never done it. I love it. I think it's brilliant, and okay. I use that word a lot. I throw that around very liberally, as Nick from the N Squared podcast has noticed. I think it's a fun game, and I think there's some ambition here that is to be commended and is admirable, because it does some really ambitious stuff, and I think it does some really neat stuff, but holy crap is this game buggy. It's so buggy. And that's not to say it's not good, it's just, you can tell this is launch software, because it's definitely not taking the most advantage of the hardware that it was built on. It's not taking the most advantage of some of the technologies introduced on the Dreamcast and what the Dreamcast was truly capable of. And it's just so janky. God, it's janky. Again, it's great. It's a great game, and I do love it, and I will beat it eventually. I get farther on it every time I play it, but man, it's so janky. All right, jumping up now to the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 generation, and I think the biggest game of this generation that I've never beaten, and there's a reason for it, is Red Dead Redemption. And you can kind of pair this with RDR2 as well, a game that I think is beautiful and a technological marvel, but fuck, is it boring. Holy crap, is it boring. And I know that puts me in the minority. I know most people love Rockstar games, but to me, I just can't get into them. I've never really gotten into a Grand Theft Auto game outside of Vice City. Red Dead Redemption, I think, is stunning to look at, but it's just not fun. I just don't have fun with it. And it's not something where I really feel compelled to keep playing it. Like, I love the characters. I love the setting. I do love a good Western. I think the concept is fantastic, but I just can't play it for more than an hour without being bored to tears. And I don't know if it's just kind of because it falls victim to a lot of that Rockstar default game design mechanics, or what, but there's just something about it that doesn't connect, both that and its sequel. It's not a series for me, and it's not a game for me, and that's okay. Like, I'm not trying to take it away from anybody. Like, if you love RDR and RDR2, by all means play them. I own them both. I just can't get into them for long periods of time. So and as big as they are, if you're not able to play it for more than an hour in a setting, you're never going to beat them. And yeah, that's really where we're at with that one. I just don't get into it. Here's one that I do get into, and that I love, and that I loved right up to the last boss in the game. It is from one of my favorite video game series, and it is Uncharted 2. I admit 100% that everything about this game is superior to the first one. It's spectacular. It is one of the most compelling storylines, one of the best designed combat systems, and one of the best designed series of levels I've ever seen in a video game. It's spectacular. Legitimately one of my favorite video games. I hate the last boss fight. I get so frustrated with the last boss fight because it is unfortunately making use of what is the weakest part of Uncharted's mechanics by Nate running around and jumping and stuff like that, as opposed to taking cover and hiding, which is a lot more fun and a lot more satisfying to play. You have to constantly be on the move, and that's not something that really works in this game all that well for some reason. I don't know. I get so frustrated with that last boss. I don't, and I guarantee it's just me. Like, this is some kind of bizarre disconnect I have with the game that I just can't beat it. I got so frustrated with it, in fact, that I didn't play it again for almost 2 years. And then I played it again finally. I was like, okay, we're going to do it this time. And I got to the last boss again, and I got worked. So yeah, I've never beaten that one. I've beaten every other Uncharted game easily, without a problem. But this one, too, just can't do. I don't know why. All right, now we're going to the PlayStation 4, which is a console I love. It was my console of choice during its generation. Vastly preferred it to the Xbox One. I think the library on the PlayStation 4 is amazing, and I love the exclusives on it. And I have beaten so few of them, but I love the exclusives on it. Up first is God of War. And I know so many people love this game. I've never been a fan of the God of War series. I am not really, and this is something I've explained, I think, in previous videos. I know I've explained it in real life, at least. So I have a hard time getting behind playing the villain in a game. And Kratos, don't make any mistake about it, is a bad guy. He's our protagonist. He's not necessarily a hero. Not that any of the gods he's killing are heroes either, but it's something where it's why I didn't like Breaking Bad. It's why I don't like stuff like that, where as much as I look at the artistry behind the things that are being made, I can't get into the protagonist. And that's a disconnect for me, and it's not something I'm going to keep going back to. Now, with this one, I thought the shift from Greek mythology to Norse mythology was a really interesting take, and I was excited to try this one out. And I think there's a lot to be said for this game that is excellent, but for some reason, it's that protagonist. It's that whole, you have to play as a not good person. And I know the real world is not black and white, but I don't know. Maybe that's just what I want from my video game protagonist, is I want a clear-cut hero and a clear-cut villain, and I just don't get there with Kratos. I love the Loki interactions. I love the fight with Loki at the start of the game. I love the depiction of Thor in the game. There's so much about it that I do enjoy, but for some reason, I can't get behind the character, so I don't keep playing. All right, one on the PlayStation 4 that has nothing to do with the protagonist, because I think the protagonist in this game is amazing. I just haven't beaten it because so much other stuff came out around the time this came out. So this released during the pandemic, and it's Ghost of Tsushima. It is legitimately one of the best games on the PlayStation 4. Gorgeous to look at, incredible gameplay, just kind of an endless world of possibilities of things that you're able to do and able to explore and able to find. And it's something that I love and I want to beat, but there was so much stuff that kind of piled up and came up around the same time. And especially during the pandemic, when I wasn't really going out a whole lot and I wanted to just stay at home and play games. There was so much stuff that came out during that time between 2020, 2021, and 2022 that this just kind of fell by the wayside. I recently started playing it again on my PS5, so it's something where I have every intention of beating it. I just kind of forgot about it. And it's a shame because it's so good. It's one of Sucker Punch's best games, and they've made a lot of really great games. Last one on PlayStation 4, I will stop picking on you Sony ponies right now, and it's a game that I do thoroughly enjoy. I love the protagonist, I love the setting, I love the combat, I love the idea, so much so that I am incredibly excited to play the sequel on the PS5, and I'm really looking forward to Lego Horizon, but it is Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, I've gotten very far in the game. I'm probably 90% of the way through. I just haven't finished it off yet. It wasn't one I picked up when it launched. I actually waited probably 2 years until I picked it up. But it was one where the more I saw of it in action and the more I talked to Game Dad, Chris from the Game Dad Show, about the game and how much he loved it, the more I wanted to play it. And the more I've gotten into it, the more I realize how much possibility the world of Horizon Zero Dawn and the character of Aloy offers. She's a remarkable protagonist, and the story you go through discovering so much about Aloy's past and where she comes from and who her parents are is something that I think needs to be appreciated and enjoyed, kind of like a good bottle of wine. You don't want to just kind of plow through it. I mean, maybe you do. I'm not judging. But it's one where I've gotten to where I'm at now in the game that I am about ready to finish it so I can play the sequel. I just haven't gotten there yet. All right, this last one is on the Switch, so I don't want people to think I'm not going to pick on Nintendo here. And this is directly from Nintendo themselves, and this is a massive game that really felt like Animal Crossing to me, and I will explain that statement because when I show you what the game is, you're going to look at it and go, you're insane, they're nothing like each other. But when Animal Crossing released in 2020, it was the only thing I played for about 6 months because I didn't go anywhere for about 6 months. Other than 6 a.m. runs to the grocery store first thing in the morning, I was basically sitting at home working and playing video games, and Animal Crossing was the game of choice. And I got to the point where it had been the only thing I played for 6 months. Like I said, I was burnt out, and I never wanted to see the game again, and I haven't really played it since. And that is also what happened with Tears of the Kingdom. When Tears of the Kingdom released this year, I was blown away. I'm a fan of Breath of the Wild. I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's the best Zelda game of all time, but I think it is a great Zelda game. And I think Tears of the Kingdom improves on it in a lot of ways. But it got to be a chore on running all the different quests and things like that I had to do in the game that I just burnt myself out. I played so much of it in such a short amount of time that I didn't want to play it anymore. And that's where I'm at with it now. Like, I've gone back to it, and I'll boot it up, and I'll just be like, I don't want to play this game anymore. It's lost the magic for me, and that really sucks because I really do enjoy it. Those are my games of shame. There's plenty more in the backlog, I'm sure, that I haven't beaten yet. These are just the ones that kind of stuck out as I was thinking about this topic. Let me know in the comments down below. What games are you ashamed that you haven't beaten yet? Or what games do you think people would shame you for not beating? That's kind of what this list is. Let me know in the comments. Hey, be sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so. I'm super glad you're here. I really appreciate you making it to the end of the video. And if you really enjoy the work, there's going to be a Patreon link at the end. Until next time, folks, I've been Jay. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me tonight. Remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.